In this video, I'm going to answer your questions about motion design. Hey, my name is Cameron with Motion Science, and I've been a motion designer for over 20 years. And I get asked a lot of questions. So here's a few of the ones I've been recently asked. I see a lot of grid backgrounds in your design. Line grid, line grid plus dotted grid, etc. Can you show me how you create them and how do you decide which one you will choose in the next design? Yeah, I do use a lot of different grids in the backgrounds of my designs, but it really just depends on what the design is. So I don't move forward with the design thinking, okay, I'm going to put a grid in there. It all depends on what the project is. So if the project requires a grid or some type of dotted background, I'm going to put it in there. The way I do that is I just use a very simple shape layer like a circle or a line, and I use a repeater and I repeat that shape once, and I typically repeat it again going the opposite way, and there you have a dotted line or a grid background. How do I do data moshing? I've never done data moshing before, so I can't really tell you. I do know there's a pretty cool looking script or plugin on AE Scripts. Definitely check it out. The data moshing I've seen on the socials is pretty cool. Good luck to you. How do you overcome laziness? Well, I've never really struggled with laziness because I absolutely love creating motion design. So if you're feeling lazy about creating motion design, I would take a deep look at yourself and say, is this really what I want to do? Because if you aren't passionate about creating, then you're not going to want to create. If you are still passionate about creating and you still find yourself a little bit lazy, maybe set a schedule for yourself, some type of routine that you can do daily, and maybe you just put in like an hour or 2 hours a day just saying like, hey, I want to create something. Devote that time in that block and go create. What would your advice be for graduate designers? First and foremost, you need real world experience. From what I've seen in the past when I've hired graduates recently out of school is they understand the software and some principles of design and animation, but they lack the necessary real world experience. So you need to get that. That means you can get an internship, you can get a paid internship, or get a junior level position at any company who's willing to give you a shot. The biggest thing is just be transparent with where you're coming from. Let them know you just recently graduated, you don't have any real world experience, but you're eager to get it. Do you often mix practical and digital methods while working with motion? I don't. I stay digital almost 100% of the time. It's pretty rare that I scan something in to create an asset or element for a piece. I find that I can get pretty much everything I need online in some type of digital form. How do I get the willpower, energy, hustle on to do a personal project and do it good? Again, it kind of goes back to the question I just had previously, which is I love creating motion design, right? It really fills me up, it jazzes me. So I enjoy that. Now, creating personal projects, it's more about setting aside that time to create that personal project, because we get a lot of times get wrapped up in doing client projects. So set aside a day on the weekend or 2 weeks from now and say, hey, I'm going to work on this personal project. Give yourself time. There's no reason that you have to rush through a personal project. It can take weeks or months or even years to create a personal project, and that's okay. Just give it your all, give it the passion you have behind it, and do something that you really want to do. Best way to get inspiration. I love getting inspiration from sites like Behance, Pinterest, Instagram is great as well. I also like to go look at architecture. I love to travel to different cities, different countries. That's the best way for me just to really get inspired. Being around other cultures is awesome too. I look at magazines, I look at books, I look at movies, a lot of different places. Don't just focus on other motion design or what other motion designers are doing. Really broaden your horizon and look at all forms of creativity out there. How to deal with imposter syndrome and share our work on social medias. Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. You just have to do it. You just have to post your work on a social media channel. You don't need to post them on all the channels. Maybe you pick Instagram, right? And post one piece. You're going to be surprised at the positive feedback you get from people. If you get a hater in there that's really dissing on you, all you have to do is block that person and just let it go, right? That's going to happen every once in a while, but most of the people are going to support you. And it's great to get that feedback from people, because that's how you get better faster. Listening to what other people say about your work, and they give you feedback, and you take that feedback in and you go back and you rework something, or you use it on your next project. Listen, nobody's perfect. No one is the best. We all think we're great, and then we see something else and we're like, well, am I really that good? But you know what? It's just about having confidence within yourself and just doing it. Just put it out there, show it to the world, show the world what you've got, and be proud of it. How can I learn motion graphics at less cost? I mean, I'm always going to recommend courses. I'm always going to recommend motion science courses because we are the best. But if you can't afford a course, YouTube is going to be your best option. The problem with YouTube is that you can learn very specific things, but you don't have a roadmap for what you should be learning when. It's going to take you a lot longer to figure those things out, whereas a course is going to give you a roadmap and say, hey, we need to start here, we need to end here. And when you do that, you further your progress a lot quicker. But stick with YouTube and you should be okay. What's your favorite kind of brief to work on? My favorite kind of brief to work on is one that has a lot of creative strengths. I know there's a lot of people out there who say, I want an open-ended creative brief, but ones that are very limited, like you have one image to work with, or 3 images to work with, or one line of type, or this color in a line of type, whatever that is, that's what makes me get the most creative. And I have to troubleshoot and say, okay, how can I make this look cool? And I find that I really push myself in those instances. And a lot of times I end up making something that I'm really proud of and is very creative. Why do you not make YouTube tutorials? Well, I do make YouTube tutorials. It's youtube.com/motion science. And if you're here on YouTube, you should be able to see them. How do I get a job in the motion area? So the best way to get a job in motion design is to practice, get your skill set up, and then make a demo reel. Once you make that demo reel, you're going to send that reel out to a potential client, studio, agency, whoever it is that you want to work for, someone that you are a match for, someone who really inspires you and that you want to create work for. You send them your demo reel, you send them a quick email, you say, here's who I am, here's a link to my reel, and I would love to work for you. You keep it very short and to the point, but it's all about your demo reel. That's what's going to get you hired. How are you? A hello from France. Hi, France. I absolutely love your country. I hope to be back soon. Is there a way to 3D project an image on a curved object, not just a plane? You know, as far as I know, no, there's not. In After Effects, you can take a flat plane and use the Cinema 4D render engine, and you can curve that plane, but you can't project once that's a curve. So your best bet is to move into Cinema 4D Lite and create a curved plane in there and project. In fact, we have a course that covers Cinema 4D and Cinema 4D Lite with camera projection here at Motion Science. How do you work past a technical hangup, where in a project an unforeseen circumstance arises that requires hours of trial and error to solve when you're on a tight timeline? Yeah, if I'm working on a project and I know that there's some technical aspect of it that's going to be coming up, I'm going to be working ahead of time, figuring out how I'm going to do that. Now, some projects you're going to work on are going to give you time for R&D. That's the time that you spend researching and developing whatever it is you're going to be challenged with. If there's not R&D time, you're going to still know the scope of the project, right? Whether it's a few days, whether it's a few weeks, you know what the scope of that project is. So if there's something that's standing out to you that's going to look challenging, I would start on trying to tackle that as soon as possible. You should never get into a situation where you're given a day and something's kind of sprung upon you like, hey, we need you to create this, and you have no idea how to create it. That's not a good client. That's not a good relationship with you and the client. That's not good communication. So you should always know what's coming up, and you should be able to kind of balance your time and figure out how you're going to solve that problem. How to create animation from video, 3 finishing touches. Yeah, that's a really cool animation. That's actually from the Stylecraft course. So if you haven't checked out Stylecraft yet, you definitely need to check it out. So I'll tell you what, that's all the questions I have for this time. I really enjoyed seeing your questions and answering them, and I look forward to doing this again very soon. If you're looking to upgrade your design skill set, master the art of style, and execute like a pro, I have a course called Stylecraft that you can check out at motionscience.tv. You can also learn more about this course by clicking the link in the description below. As always, thanks for watching. My name is Cameron, and this is Motion Science.